When you talk about racing pigeon training from this early age, they are just actually teaching each other to drink from the water holder and to eat from the food holder because their parents have been mouth feeding them the solids and the liquids. Pigeons are the only, or one of the only two birds that make milk. I think penguins do. Their own special weird milk they make in their throat kind of pouch area. And so anyway, they're just eating grains and drinking water. It's almost bedtime, and they get to have food all the time. Training begins when they are fully fledged, when they're little. Training starts now, but when those little feathers on their heads are gone, they got their full tail feathers. They will be eating from the same bowl as the birds who are 3 weeks older than them. They will all be the same size in no time at all. Pigeons grow really quickly. Now these birds are just about to go to bed. There's a sleepy pigeon right there. A sweet baby bird. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5's way back here. Hello, baby. Hello. Oh, they're already in sleeping mode. Hello. So when you get a chance to raise a whole flock like this, you can train in any way because they're just going to be working as a group, feeding. They feed alternately. One will go in, grab some seeds, walk around the outside. The other one takes the place. So we're going to train so that the birds eat the seeds inside of a box which is clear with the sides removed. And then I can just slide the sides back in, and voila, we are ready to go fly. And they've just put themselves in the box. And this is pigeon box training. You can also train them to just fly back into the box. So you got to have a different flying call and a different feeding call. So let's get started with the basic training, which from this point on is we're going to introduce the birds to the trap so that they learn how to get in and out of the loft. And then we're going to introduce the birds to the area outside of the loft, which is netted in for them, and then they can practice going in and out. And then we'll do a training release just from the front yard to here with the feeding call, and then from the neighbors, the rise of the neighbors' driveway to here with the feeding call, and then the subdivision next door. I've got a nice long landing strip for them. They'll fly from there to here, and then we'll start training up the mountain and across the inlet as far as we can get from here so they get a good flight home. No matter which direction I go, they're going to beat me home 100%. So this all happens on a partially empty stomach. Your training flights are going to be small and progressively longer. And, you're never going to fly your birds in a storm, but you want to fly them from different approaches. I live on a bluff 100 feet above sea level. So if I let them go at sea level, then they have to rise. So I start training from the mountain down so they can get a good view of the coastline and they can cruise into their home stretch easily. Got to start training from a higher elevation and then go into some hills and stuff, get them to fly over a mountain or circle around it. They will decide what to do as a group in flight, and we will have GPS trackers on them and we can watch them live. And then when it's time, we can go for a longer flight, but we start with short flights, very short, just getting oriented, always with a goal. We're not going to open the loft on a full stomach and just let them loiter around the roof. Even the first flight from the front yard to the loft is going to be on an empty stomach to the feeding call into the loft. That's our goal. Then from the front yard, then from a block away, then from a half a mile away, then from varying terrain away, and different conditions. And yeah, I like to just fly them on the optimal conditions because I want them to make it home. Also, if it seems like a bird is going to be laying, if you have a mixed loft, some people keep the hens and cocks separately. They don't let them mingle. If you have a hen who is in a laying cycle, it's fine to fly them, but you don't want to race that bird. So if you feel like you're going to be racing a hen, or you have a really speedy hen for some reason, she's a super athlete and she wants to race, sometimes this happens, you're going to want to separate her from her mate for a little longer, so before her race she has a month to not be focused on having that cockbird around and going through the whole automated mating display, which happens, once a month even. So you want to keep the egg cycle to a limited hormonal, pheromonal amount of stimulation if you're going to fly your hens. Unless they're young birds. People race young birds as birds that have not matured to the age of being able to procreate. People race them at 2 months old. And that's because if these birds had been raised in this loft, they would already be 100 feet in the sky, flying around like lunatics. And they will be. The next generation, if I let these birds breed and raise a couple babies, they will be way up in the sky by like 4 weeks old. It's incredible. But we're going to have to just take our time and start this kit off from the scratch. Well, that's what you have to do sometimes. And it's almost bedtime for these guys. It's getting dark outside. They look sleepy. And snacking. That's good. See, they're eating, preening. Everybody looks okay. That one in the back, too, are sleeping. That's good. That's a good sign. Because I have the food out here for the babies, I have them in a barred cage so critters can't get in there and eat their food. There are no critters in here right now, but you don't want to tempt fate. Just birds for the moment. But yeah, you always have to be cautious with the food. So hit that subscribe button and follow us through the whole process of raising these birds to race or just to fly really fast and safely. That's the one important thing to remember about pigeons. If you want your pigeons to be able to fly and have a normal life, you got to get yourself some racing pigeons because they can fly very fast, and that gives them a much better chance of survival. Okay, if you have a fancy pigeon flopping around your yard or a tumbler pigeon doing stunts, they call in the hawks. Also the sky cutters. They hover in the air and they're beautiful, but that is hawk bait. And so we want our birds to survive. So in this environment, if you want your birds to fly, you want yourself some high muscle mass ratio BMI birds that are designed to fly like bats out of hell. And such wonderful loyal birds. You got to remember they're like chickens or dogs if you've had either. They're just fantastic friends to have, and they're going to have a great time flying real soon.